What's going on, you guys? My name's Ty Knots and welcome to Top 5 Unknowns. 5 shocking inmate reactions. Number 5. A teenager by the name of Nicholas Lindsay was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole after he took the life of a police officer following an altercation. However, many questioned the court's judgment on this case, stating that in no instance should a teenage boy be sentenced to prison without parole. This caused enough of a fuss to warrant a retrial, though at the retrial, the young man was convicted once again and sentenced to life in prison without parole. Take a look at the court's reaction.
It is also tragic.
The convicted cop killer's former neighbor reacted to the judges handing down a second life sentence, but Nicholas Lindsay showed little interest in the hearing.
There is no indication that this type of violent behavior will stop.
A U.S. Supreme Court ruling forced Judge Thane Covert to reconsider the original punishment of life in prison with no chance of parole.
What the court decided was that juveniles, people under the age of 18 that commit a crime, don't have the same mental capacity to think like adults. Therefore, they should be treated differently.
Defense attorney Joe Episcopo says now minors convicted of first-degree murder are entitled to a hearing. Criminal history and odds of rehabilitation must be considered before life without parole is imposed.
The court has significant doubts about the defendant's potential for rehabilitation.
In a 27-page order, the judge cited aggravating circumstances, including an escalating criminal history, before he sentenced Lindsay to that second term with no chance of parole. His mom said little when it was over.
It's what the judge ordered, so that's what it is. It is what it is.
But Lindsay actually grinned when the judge read his ruling, the lack of remorse not lost on David Crawford's daughter, Amanda.
Justice was served, and I'm glad it's over, and it just kind of proves to me that he's an animal as he sat there smiling.
Number 4. A judge from Georgia sentenced a young man to life in prison with an additional 270 years after he was convicted of breaking into a home, robbing the family, and sexually assaulting the homeowner. While his sentencing was being read, the man became unnerved and cut the judge off mid-sentence. So the judge paused for a moment, revised the sentencing, and gave the man the longest possible sentence allowed by law, turning to him and saying, quote, "You're an animal." Check it out.
Here or not, Mr. Grogan, you're an animal.
An angry admonishment from Fulton County Superior Court Judge Alfred Dempsey to defendant Tyler Grogan.
You shooting at police, you violated that woman, and you don't want to hear it. Well, you're going to hear it, and I don't give a rat's behind whether you like it or not.
Wednesday, a jury convicted the Roswell man of nearly 30 charges stemming from this May 2011 standoff at the Aspen Point Apartments. Prosecutors say Grogan robbed 2 people here, then held them hostage for hours, repeatedly raping a woman as the SWAT team closed in. As Judge Dempsey prepared to sentence Grogan, he cursed.
Sit him down. Given the defendant's actions, I got a different sentence I'm going to impose now. 7
consecutive life sentences plus 270 years in prison. His attorney told the judge Grogan is sorry for what happened and blamed his behavior on demons he's dealt with since his own mother's murder a few years ago.
Life had just been too much for him. He put himself in a situation which he did, and it began to get out of hand.
Outside the courtroom, we rolled as Grogan's supporters got out of hand, cursing the police, the judge, the DA, even us, for the harsh sentence.
Number 3. A man from Bakersfield is said to have beat and killed an 81-year-old woman, showing virtually no remorse for his actions. When he was just 17, he was sentenced to life in prison, though when he turned 18, he was scheduled for a retrial to determine whether or not he would remain in prison for the standard 25 years, or for life without the possibility of parole. In court, he was seen grinning and laughing during his sentencing. Take a look.
With a chuckle, a laugh, and yawn after yawn, David Moses acted strangely at his sentencing this morning, appearing to fall asleep in his chair not once, but twice.
It gave me the impression that he thought this was a game. There was just no expression of remorse whatsoever for his actions.
Last month, a jury convicted Moses and Katila Nash of first-degree murder in the 2010 killing of 81-year-old Dorothy Sessions. She was inside her Northeast Bakersfield home cooking dinner when the teenagers broke in to burglarize the house. When she confronted them, they brutally beat her to the point of being unrecognizable.
She was such a caring, she had such a gentle spirit about her. I know that if there were more people like Pauline Sessions, we wouldn't be having trials like this.
Moses was on juvenile probation when he killed Sessions. Prosecutor David Wilson says Moses suffered physical, verbal, and emotional abuse growing up, leading to a lengthy criminal history, including sexually assaulting his sister, then a developmentally disabled cousin, and 7 other children while he was in a group home. While Sessions' family said they hope to one day see her again in heaven, Moses' attorney asked the judge for hope as well, in the form of a possibility for parole.
To give him that hope for the next 25 years, that he may have an opportunity to be returned to society.
Instead, the judge sentenced Moses to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Mr. Moses received the punishment he deserved. Frankly put, he's just a dangerous individual, and there's only one place to put him, and that's in the penitentiary for the rest of his life.
Number 2. Samuel Littleton is a man from Dayton who broke into a couple's home and killed them along with their middle-aged daughter. The strangest issue, though, is that he seemed to have no motive for this. He was unwilling to speak with police about the matter and never broke his silence in court either. The best assumption police have is that the man wanted the couple's vehicle and possibly the daughter's income tax return check, though this is just speculation. Throughout his hearing, he remained stoic, seemingly unfazed by his sentencing. Check it out.
Very little education, a family in another state that he claims were not worth talking about. Samuel Littleton had very little going on in life, and now he has much less. He's been sentenced to life in prison without any chance of parole after he admitted killing Richard and Gladys Russell and Tiffany Brown in February.
We know that you're going to spend the rest of your life in prison. That's the only comfort we have. I ask that every time the door slams behind you in that prison, you're reminded of the 3 lives that you took.
How much education have you completed?
8th grade. Judge Mark O'Connor tried to pry information out of him, something to help understand why this man killed his girlfriend's daughter and an elderly couple.
I was in the basement when the detectives were removing the boards from Tiffany's body, and I just felt the anger. You know, how could anyone do this to her?
But there wasn't a reason. The best the family can tell, he was after Tiffany's tax return money, and he needed the Russell's car.
He's a coward. He could have said a lot, you know, and just a genuine apology, but no, he's a coward.
I think he is sorry. I just don't think he has the guts to say anything to us, you know? He's probably ashamed of himself, and he should be. I just wished he would at least said that he was sorry for what he had done.
But in the end, nothing. There was an apology from the defense attorney, but Littleton said almost nothing. The families of his victims had plenty to say.
The death penalty is too easy, I think. I think he deserves much more punishment than that.
Tiffany will always be my little girl, and Grandma's Tiffy.
Number 1. Convicted sexual assailant Larry Nassar needs no introduction, but for those of you who may have missed the pleasure of viewing his sentencing live, he was convicted for sexually assaulting over 150 young girls. Throughout his court hearings, he maintained his composure, smug expression, and careless stare as the judge read out that he would be sent away for 40 to 175 years, essentially a life sentence for a man his age. When his final sentencing was read, the courtroom erupted in applause as Larry was marched to his cell. Take a look.
I thank everybody in this case. Sir, I hope somewhere you have heard everybody's words, and it really does resonate with you. Anything else for the record? Nothing on behalf of people, I'm sorry.
Nothing but half.
All right. So the media is asked to stay here with all those lovely people who may want to speak with you. Thank you. That's all for the record.
All right.
NBC's Kate Snow joins us now. Kate, you've been covering this from the beginning. This was throwing the book at Larry Nassar, not buying any of his defense, not wanting to read the rest of his letter, and basically giving him more than a century in jail.
Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to click that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell to keep updated with our videos.